Hi everyone, and welcome to the Knit California podcast. My name is Leslie. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer from Southern California, and in today's episode we are going to be talking about everything that I knit in May of 2025. So I haven't filmed a podcast in a while, so grab something cozy to drink, grab your project, and let's get into it. I've got Rocky here for the moral support. Say hi. Say hi. No, he's looking out the window. The pup's here too. Hi. It's been a while since I've done a podcast, so welcome back. Welcome back to me, I guess. I hope you have watched the Scotland vlogs. That's really what's been going on over here on the channel for the last couple of weeks. If you haven't watched the Scotland vlogs, the quickest recap I can give you is I went on a knitting tour to Scotland. We started in Edinburgh, we went to Glasgow, Oban, Inverness, Dundee, all around doing knitting workshops. We hit up local, tourist spots like museums. We went to Culloden, we went to Loch Ness, and it was an amazing trip. I had so much fun. I vlogged the whole thing. There are 7 daily vlogs on the channel here if you want to go watch it. And it was an amazing time. I want to go back. So that's that. Today we're going to be talking about everything that I knit in May. A lot of stuff that I have to talk about is stuff that I knit while I was in Scotland. So we're going to be talking about Scotland a little bit more in today's video. But I do have, in general, one full finished object. I've got 2 finished swatches from some of the workshops that we did, and 1, 2, 3, 4 whips. So a good amount of stuff to talk through here. And then I've got a couple announcements and stuff at the end. We'll talk about what's coming up next because I don't know, I need to talk through some of my thoughts. I don't really know what I want to do next, to be honest. We'll talk through my Yarn Enthusiast journal and all the normal stuff that we talk through here. And if I get stuck, just remember, I've already said it a few times, I haven't podcasted in a while, so. Okay, let's start with my finished object, I guess. Here it is. Let me button it. Okay. Dun, da, da, da. I finished my second Midland cardigan. Yay! I knit this in less than a month. Let me tell you here. I started this on April 10th and I finished this on May 8th. I left for my trip on May 9th. So I was very determined to finish this before leaving on my trip. I actually finished the knitting a couple days before that, and then I blocked it overnight, and then May 8th is when I was finishing sewing on all of the buttons. And then it was done. I wore it on the plane the next day, and I wore it a bunch on the trip. Since it's been done, I've worn it 9 times last month in May. So definitely have been getting a lot of wear out of it. This is my second Midland cardigan. That's what I said. I have a purple version as well. So I really, really love this cardigan. They are the only 2 cardigans in my wardrobe currently that I'm really wearing. I have some other cardigans that I have knit a couple years ago, but they're not really in my knitwear rotation, just because I don't like the way really that they look, that they fit. They're not really my style anymore. So these two are my favorite and I've been wearing them a lot. I knit this out of the Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy yarn. So this is a 50% Falkland merino wool, 37.5% recycled wool, 12.5% Hedgehog Fibres thread waist. This is the yarn, I know I've talked about it before, but if you send in your yarn scraps to Hedgehog Fibres, this Tweedy yarn is the yarn base that they sell with your yarn scraps like built into it. They use your yarn scraps as the Tweedy bits in this yarn base. That's what I'm trying to say here. So this is the colorway Soot that I used, and I really like it. So I've used this colorway. I also used a purple colorway Lullaby for a beanie that I made last year. And I did want to say, I feel like there is a difference in feel in the bases of those two colorways. The Lullaby is a little bit of a lighter base. This Soot is a darker base. So I'm not sure if the base yarn itself is maybe different, like a lighter base yarn versus a darker base yarn, but this definitely has a softer feel compared to the other colorway. And it was something that I talked to a lot of people about when I was on the tour, because they have used the Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy as well. A lot of people were asking me if I felt like this was too scratchy to wear next to skin, and I was like, no, not at all. But they had used other colors for sweaters, cardigans, whatever, and had felt that way. So something interesting that I wanted to point out. Midland Cardigan in general, if you haven't heard me talk about this a lot, the way that it's constructed is super interesting. So it's a garter stitch cardigan, but if you can tell, it's vertical garter stitch. So it's actually knit from side to side instead of from top to bottom, which means like you're knitting every row, but the construction itself is really interesting. So it's like a very fun knit, at least for me. Like, I feel like I'm a more advanced knitter, so I love the knitting every row, but then I get that mental stimulation by having fun with the construction of it. If you're a more beginner knitter, I definitely think you can knit this cardigan. The instructions are very well written, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I'll have a photo up. You can see how it fits. I knit the size 4. I think the sizing on this is very important. Make sure you are measuring yourself and doing the calculations. There's a whole section on sizing and gauge at the beginning of the pattern. Laura talks about how there's a certain ease for both the bust and your waist measurement, because the cardigan is shaped kind of like a triangle. It comes in, there's waist shaping on it. And so you want to make sure that you are choosing the correct size that's going to fit both measurements. So yeah, really happy. I've knit this twice now, and I would definitely knit another one. I'm not going to right now, but I would. I want to knit some other cardigan patterns, but I would absolutely 100% knit another one of these cardigans. So if that tells you something, there you go. So that is my Midland cardigan by Laura Penrose, knit in the Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy yarn. I really, really loved it. Okay, let's move on. I guess some of the smaller finished objects that I have are some of those swatches that I completed in some of the workshops that we did on the Scotland knitting tour. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is this one. This was from our Gansey knitting workshop that we had with Di Gilpin. And so this is a Gansey knitting tree. Very fun, very cute. This is the yarn that we used for this. So this is the Di Gilpin Lalland DK. I use this color C Pearl Seine. And it's a 100% lamb's wool spun in Scotland. I was talking about this in the vlog. I think this was vlog number 6 where we used this yarn. The yarn is really interesting. I don't know, maybe you can tell kind of looking at, if I can hold the swatch steady, looking at the yarn itself versus the swatch. The yarn is 2 strands of 2-ply yarn spun together. And well, I had a hard time talking about this in the vlog as well, but the yarn is spun in the opposite direction that it would normally be in. So normally your final twist on a yarn is a Z twist. This final twist is an S twist. And it's specifically spun this way for Gansey knitting. Gansey knitting is mostly done with knits and pearls, the occasional cable, and having a yarn spun like this makes the knits and the pearls just like stand out from each other more. So that's the way they were talking to us about it, which I think is really cool. This yarn itself being 100% lamb's wool, it's very, very soft. And yeah, when you knit it up, I mean, you can't tell that like it's spun, because it kind of looks like it's spun loosely also. You can't tell that at all once it's knit up. Like, it just looks really, really nice. So yeah, it was really nice to work with. There was something else that I was going to tell you about this. I don't remember. Gansey knitting in general, we learned. If you don't know, Ganseys, like Gansey sweaters, typically were sweaters that were knit for fishermen in Scotland and like northern England. So they were like tight fitting sweaters, very, very small stitches so that they were like warm, but also they were knit in a way so that they didn't restrict movement of the arms, especially. We saw examples of like underarm gussets that were knit into the sweaters so that there was like extra fabric under the arms so that they could like easily lift their arms and, you know, do whatever they needed to do when they were out on boats. And like all the different motifs and stuff that they are finding from Gansey knitting really were there to like tell a story, or were like special signatures from each of the knitters, or would represent a specific family or a specific village or community. So some really cool stuff. Di Gilpin and her partner Sheila Greenwell wrote a book called the Gansey Knitting Source Book. I have a copy, so there's a lot of history in there, as well as like it's a Gansey Knitting Stitch Dictionary. There's also some patterns, so if you're interested in more on Gansey knitting, I'd highly recommend that book on it. So that was one of the workshops that we did, and one of my little finished swatches. The second one that we did was this one. Ooh, maybe you can start to see it already. This was the illusion knitting. So the full workshop was called Secrets, Illusions, and Code Knitting. Our instructor was Deborah Gray. I was very specifically interested in the illusion knitting because she showed us this swatch specifically. I didn't finish this until I got home, but when you look at it head on, it just looks like stripes. But when you turn it, you can start to see a pattern, the illusion that's actually in the knitting. And I just thought this was so cool, something very different that like I had never seen before. I posted a reel on this that now has 1.3 million views, which is crazy. And Made with Love by Tom Daly actually reposted it today, which is also crazy. But there were a few people who commented on it that they have knit illusion knitting before. There are some patterns on Ravelry. A few people gave suggestions of like other people who do this type of work. So it was really cool for me to like go and see other people who are doing this illusion knitting. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. I mean, with this one swatch, I want to do more. I want to like make a couple little patterns with it. So some people were asking in the video how it looks on the back. It looks the same, but like in reverse, which is kind of cool. So, and it's totally dependent on the way the stripes are. So like if we were to look at it this way, oh, well, yeah, that's the same way. I guess if you were to look at it this way, you wouldn't see it, right? So we have to look at it this way. I can hold it this way too, but like that's the way the stripes are going. Okay, I'm not doing a good job of holding it. Okay, anyway, so that's the illusion knitting. Also, like during that workshop, she was teaching us about secret stranded knitting, where you can basically knit stranded color work with the same color yarn, but using like a worsted spun yarn and a woolen spun yarn, and you would get, they would be slightly different, just different enough that like if you were looking at a stranded color work pattern or whatever, you would just barely be able to see the pattern, which is cool. Or you could use the same color yarn and do the stranded color work in like knits and purls to be able to see the pattern if you looked really closely. Also would be really cool. And then she also taught us Morse code in knitting. So that was a really cool workshop. This was those two, the Gansey knitting and the Secrets, Illusions, and Code were my two favorite workshops, which is why I wanted to talk to you about them today. So, all right, those are my two finished, okay, I was gonna say two finished swatches. For this, the yarn that we used for this, I wanted to show you, was the Jamieson and Smith from Shetland yarn. So we had the blue and the white. I know there's a lot of different colors and shades of these. I don't have the exact shades of these ones. I'm sorry. But it was the blue and the white. Okay, let's move on. And let me talk to you about my WIPs. I guess while we're on the topic of knitting workshops, one of the other knitting workshops, I guess the only other like knitting specific workshop that we had, because the other ones we had were weaving and we had needle felting. So the only other knitting specific one that we had was a lace knitting workshop, and the pattern that we were given was this Shetland swash shawl. And this is a free pattern on Ravelry if you're interested in it. It's by Denise Bartels. And so we were also given 2 balls. We could choose whatever colors we wanted of the Knitting for Olive Merino. And I chose the color Poppy Blue. I was really drawn to this vibrant blue color. And so while we were in the workshop, I started knitting on this. I wanted to, this is a triangle shawl. I don't know if you can tell. Here's a better view of it all laid out. A triangle shawl with a nice like kind of shell lace detail is really what we were doing here. That was upside down, I think. There you go. A shell lace detail. And when we first started, our instructors were like, hey, does anyone not want to do a triangle and instead want to do like a rectangular shawl? And I said, yes, I would like to do that. And so they set us up to do a rectangular version, and I was like, okay, cool, I like this. Immediately I kind of messed it up and wanted to restart. And then when I restarted, I also messed up my repeats, but I didn't want to restart again, and I really liked the way that this looked, so I just kept going. So here's what I ended up with now, or where I'm at now, and kind of the way, I guess, the way in which I have messed up is I have like a small section and then a large section and a small section and a large section, a small section and a large section. It's all supposed to be this, you know, large section in between each of the garter ridges. But I started out with only doing 2 of the yarn over repeat rows instead of the 3 that I was supposed to be doing. And yeah, I didn't want to go back and frog it. So I was like, oh, but I kind of really like this with the small and then the large. So I'm just going to continue it that way. So that's what I did, and that's where I'm at. I haven't made like a ton of progress on this so far, but I put one of my new little Loch Ness Monster progress keepers on here to show where I'm starting, or to remember where I'm starting this week, to see if I can make a bit more progress on this week. Yeah, and see how it goes. So, I mean, this is a very general, like, you know, is it a feather and fan lace pattern or a shell lace pattern? I don't know. I need to look it up in my Stitch dictionary what the name of this is actually called. But if I end up really liking the full shawl, I think if it looks good, I wouldn't be opposed to like writing this up as a pattern eventually. Because I've already written I rewrote the lace chart because it was already so different from what the original one was that I needed to remember. I just needed to rewrite it so that I could do it because it's so different. So anyways, yeah, that's where I'm at with that WIP. I'm just calling it my lace shawl, and I'm keeping it in one of my new little Harris Tweed project bags. Cute. Okay, my next project I will show you. So this is the project that I was working on pretty much the whole time I was in Scotland, up until I decided I needed to frog back, and I still haven't frogged back to fix my mistake. And I stopped and I started to work more on that shawl. And this is actually something that you haven't seen yet. It is a new design, but it is something that probably won't come out until next year. And you can't really see it at all. It's the Alchemy Tee. Let me show you the back. Doesn't look like anything from the front, but there you go. It's the Alchemy Tee. And I don't know if you remember this yarn. This is the Dusty Yarn Co. Alpaca Linen Silk that Audrey sent me, that I was originally going to use in a Palm Springs tank, my 4th Palm Springs tank, and then I realized it wasn't the correct yarn for another Palm Springs tank. It was too drapey. It just like wasn't going to work. But I think it's gonna be perfect for a t-shirt. So I'm really loving working with it so far. It's been so nice to knit with. I do think it's going to be perfect for this tee. Yeah, I mean, everything is going good so far. The issue that I ran into is I'm trying to make this different than the Alchemy Pullover by basically, okay, if you know the Alchemy Pullover, right? So you've got the edge detail stitch going down the back, and then you've got the edge detail stitch coming around the front, and then they go under the arm, and you have the 2 edge detail stitches running in parallel down the arm on the pullover. What I would like to do on the tee is have them meet and only have 1 edge detail stitch running down the side of the pullover. And so what that means is right at the underarm, there needs to be, you know, a section where they meet, and there's some decreases within the purl stitches, and then the slip stitch needs to meet and become 1. And I feel like what I've done so far is I've only done like maybe 3 or 4 rows. I don't even know if I can show you. You can see it, but the decreases that I have done in the purl section, I don't like the way they look. So I want to just rip it back to where the front and the back panels meet again and start over, try again. Gotta do a different decreases in that purl section. So I'll figure it out. But yeah, other than that, I think it's looking good. Yeah. I think it's looking really good, so. It's hard to show you. And obviously it's not blocked, so it's all curling, but it's there. And this is a fingering weight yarn, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but this is a fingering weight yarn, so I was worried how the edge detail stitch would look in a fingering weight yarn, if it would look too small, or what, but no, I think it looks really nice. So, we are having that thing again where there's, you know, kind of the holy situation, but it's happening on both sides, so you know, I'm not gonna worry about it. I just know that when the pattern gets released, there will be people who say there's holes. And I'm gonna be like, I know, there's holes on mine too. It's okay. But yeah. Some other differences, I think I'm gonna do 1x1 rib. I think I'm gonna do 1x1 rib for all of the ribbing instead of the 2x1 rib on like the bottom and the arm bands. The sleeves are gonna come, I don't know, mid-arm. It's definitely not gonna have as much ease. The sweater has like 9 inches of positive ease. This is gonna have about 4 inches of positive ease, maybe even less. I think I graded it to about 4. I can't remember, but yeah, that's what it's, that's what I'm working on right now. That's my current design that I'm working on right now. It's graded, it's fully graded, but obviously got to knit this up. And actually this yarn has a different gauge than like a regular superwash merino. So the grading is just slightly different for this specific top that I'm knitting than what it would be for just like a regular merino yarn. So I've done the grading for both. And I'm gonna write the pattern with like the regular merino numbers and gauge. So okay, so that's the Alchemy Tee. The next pattern that I've been working on, so because I was having those issues and I haven't gone back to frog it yet, when I got home from the Scotland trip, I was like, what do I knit on now? I gravitated back towards working on, well, another sweater that you haven't seen any of the other things that I have cast on. I cast it on at the end of April. Have you seen this? I don't know. What other videos did I have at the beginning of May? I don't even remember. But I cast it on at the end of April. An Olga sweater by PetiteKnit. And so when I got home, this was kind of what I gravitated towards because it's just such easy knitting and it's stripes. So I was on the back panel when I got home, and now I am joined in the round, which is a great spot to be in. So here's where I'm at. The yarn that I'm using for this, they are both Sewrella yarn. So this is Olay, Classic DK, both Classic DK. This is Olay, which I think is a spring tonal. And this is the Queen, which is either from the Knitflix collection or the Downton Abbey, but I can't remember. But I really liked this like dark pink and white combo. I think it's really cute. And it's just gonna be a striped drop shoulder sweater. I'm really excited about it. I haven't knit a pullover at all this year. So I don't know, it's just like nice and comforting to have this on the needles and just to be knitting regular stockinette and to be knitting stripes. It's just a very nice and easy and comforting project. So yeah, I don't really know if I have much to say about it. I mean, it's a PetiteKnit drop shoulder pattern, so they're kind of all the same. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Here's the back. I'll show you the back. All right. That was very quick. This is my first skein of both yarns. And I've joined in the round, so cool. The last project that I have to show you is the Ripple cardigan by Hobbii. I casted this on the same night that I casted on the Olga sweater. You know, I think I actually did show these to you guys in the last podcast episode that I did before I left. And I said that this was going to be my trip knitting project. I did not bring this on the trip. Instead, I brought the Alchemy Tee. But this is what the swatch looks like for the Ripple cardigan. I think it's really cute lace swatch, and it's going to be a cute lace cardigan. Obviously, I haven't made any progress on this in over a month, so I really need to reevaluate if I really want to knit this now. Like, do I want this to be one of my WIPs? I'm at a point where I could very easily just frog this and save it for later. I do like this yarn and project combo. I think that color is going to be perfect for that cardigan. I do think I want that cardigan in my wardrobe. I bought some buttons that I think would look really good on it in Scotland. They're these like they're big ceramic daisies, and there's 4 of them. And I think they would be really, really cute. So, I don't know. This kind of leads me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is what is like next, what's coming up in June for my knitting projects, and just kind of how I've been feeling coming back from Scotland. I think if you've been on kind of a really big trip, I was gone for 2 weeks, especially if it's like a knitting themed trip, or maybe you did a lot of knitting on the trip, you like went to some yarn stores. I don't know, like I came back and I mean, I knew I was kind of gonna feel this way, but I came back and my brain is just like full of everything, all the information that I took in, like all the new yarn that I bought, all these new techniques that I learned with the illusion knitting and the Gansey knitting, and it's like all the projects that I have started, I'm like, am I even interested in these anymore? Or like all the projects that I want to start, I'm like, am I even interested in these anymore? I don't know. I don't know if the excitement is there currently, which is frustrating because like I want to, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna do it if the excitement is not there currently, you know? But I'm also just like, I don't know what I have the excitement for right now, you know? It's a weird and like frustrating place to be in. So I don't know. Like, as I'm knitting on the Olga sweater, I'm kind of in the same place. Like, I'm not excited to like knit on the Olga sweater right now. I'm only knitting on it because it's easy and it's there. And I'm kind of feeling like if I can get this done really fast, like that would be great. And I like it would just be done for, you know, the fall and winter. And then I can like get this off of my needles, off of my WIP list, and I can move on to something else. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird place to be in. I think what I need to do is I probably just need to have like a brainstorming session of like writing down maybe all the things that I am currently interested in starting, some of the things that I would be excited about, and then maybe starting one of those projects. Yeah, I think that's probably what I need to do. But I need to put a little bit more thought into that because I don't know what those are currently. So yeah, that's where I'm at with like what's coming up next. I guess long story short, couldn't tell you. Stay tuned, come back and find out for more. Okay, let me show you really quick. Here's my yarn Shadowbox. What are these called? Oh gosh. Here's my yarn scrap Shadowbox. Not like a whole lot of new stuff added this month. I guess here's my Midland Cardigan 2, and here's some scraps from some of the Scotland projects that I kept with me, and that's really it. Not a ton of new stuff, so still just a big blob of my Loch Ness Monster cowl, which is fine. Okay, and then let's really quickly go through my yarn enthusiast journal for the month of May. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot to update the beginning pages in here. Okay, let's look at Knitter's Bingo. Go to Scotland. I went to Scotland, knit in public. I did a lot of knitting in public while I was in Scotland. So that's 2 more from the Knitter's Bingo marked off of my list. My Make 9 plans, I finished my Midland cardigan, so that's good. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, here's my May overview. I think the biggest thing to touch on here is my yarn stash in and out. Look, I bought a lot of yarn in Scotland. We knew it was gonna happen. I'm not mad about it, but here's all of my yarn in. I think it was like 50 skeins total or something, and it is what it is, okay? My weekly snapshot, definitely, I didn't really keep track of anything while I was in Scotland, and that's fine because life was different. Life is different when you're on vacation. My knitwear tracker. Okay, this was really fun to calculate. I did this all this morning. So let me give you the rundown, okay? So my Palm Springs tanks. I wore my purple one twice, my blue one 5 times, and my green one 7 times, which makes all my Palm Springs tanks a total of 14 times. My Midland cardigan purple one I wore 12 times, and my gray one I wore 9 times, which gives me a total of 21 times in the month of May. My California sweater boucle version I wore once, my clove sweater I wore once, my Farnham tee I wore 4 times, Alchemy pullover once, Riley tee once, and my Loch Ness cowl I wore once, which if I add all of that up, that is 44 instances of wearing knits and 29 days of wearing knits. There were only 2 days that I did not wear knits, and I will tell you, it was the day before I left for my trip and the day after I got back from my trip. Those were the 2 days I did not wear knits. Something also really interesting is that I did not wear any knit socks in the month of May. So knit socks have really like bolstered the number of like instances of wearing my knits in the months of January through April. Like that has been the highest number of wears every month. So let me show you. In January, I wore knit socks 17 times out of a total of 37 instances. In February, socks is 13 times out of 32 instances. March, socks is 14 times out of 30 instances. In April, socks is 15 times out of 36 instances. So now in May, I didn't wear any socks, but I also had the highest number of instances with 44 instances. So really what's happening here is I have my Palm Springs tanks and I now have 2 cardigans, and wearing those 2 things in combination has like boosted my number of instances greatly, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days this month when I wore a combination of a Palm Springs tank and a Midland cardigan. And then there are additional days where I wore like my Farnham tee and my Midland cardigan. So someone told me last year, I think commented on my Did I Wear My Knits in 2024 video, or maybe it was even my 2023 video, that like a knit tank top plus a knit cardigan combo really increased their knit wear percentage. And here you go. I knew they were onto something. I knew that if I could just get those 2 things in my knitwear wardrobe, that I would be on the same path as them. So, and now that, I mean, I think also really getting into the springtime really helps, because like in this weather, the warmer weather, I don't want to wear just like a singular sweater, because that's like what I wanted to wear in the winter when it was cooler. But now that like, you know, it's a little bit cooler but also sunny, I want to wear a tank top, but I'll wear a cardigan over it. Or, you know, I know it's going to be 70, 80, 90 degrees out. I'll just go straight to the tank top, and then in the morning when it's cool, I'll wear the cardigan. So yeah, really happy with my knitwear. Wearing and tracking, I think kind of with this combination of tanks and cardigans, it's really gonna bolster those percentages and at least keep me on my goal for this year, which is good. I do have yarn for more Palm Springs tanks that I would like to knit, and obviously more cardigans that I would like to knit as well. So, yahoo! Okay. The last thing that I have to talk to you about today is a couple announcements. Okay, announcement number 1, I am co-hosting a Palm Springs tank knit along with Sam from Clockwork Fiber Co. The idea is kind of to knit a Palm Springs tank before Flock in August. However, I mean, if you're not going to Flock, you can still join, like that's not an issue at all. Some of the details: knit a Palm Springs tank in the yarn of your choice. Sam is going to have kits, but you don't need to be using Sam's yarn in order to join the knit along. New cast-ons and whips are going to be welcome, but only tanks finished within the time period will be considered for prizes. You can post progress shots and finished objects on Instagram and to your stories. If you do that, please make sure to tag me at Knit California and Sam at Clockwork Fiber Co so that we can see your posts, and we'll be sharing them in our stories as well. And Sam is making a Google form to post finished objects in order to be submitted for prizes. So that is going to be linked in my Instagram bio. I will also put the link here in the YouTube description box down below as well. The Cal will end on August 10th, and around that time is when prizes will be chosen. And then the kits from Sam will be available through June 6th, and she's gonna have a couple different bases that you can choose from. I don't have the details yet on those different bases, so I'll make sure to have her website linked in the description box down below so you can go check those out if you are interested. I think it's gonna be really fun. My plan is to knit a striped Palm Springs tank. I've been really wanting like a navy blue and white striped one for a while. So I picked up some yarn, some fingering weight yarn from Ginger Twist Studio in Edinburgh when we were there. It's the Kinross 4-ply, and I think that's what I'm going to be using for mine. So I guess I should have mentioned that in what's coming next. I do have plans to cast on another Palm Springs tank, which, if you didn't know, if you're new around here, this is the Palm Springs tank, what I'm wearing right now. This is my design. It's a high neck, high back, negative ease tank top, inspired by my favorite Old Navy tank tops. I have 3 of these. They're my absolute favorite. This is my blue one that I was talking about when I was talking about my knitwear tracker. So yes, I'm excited. I think a knit along is going to be really, really fun. Okay, announcement number 2. The Twice Sheared Sheep advent boxes are live on their website. I have an affiliate link in the description box down below if you are interested. The theme for this year is storybook, and they say join us in the enchanted forest where you can expect to find delightful goodies from your favorite fairy tales, nursery rhymes, or classic novels. And so they always guarantee that there will be some of their signature pieces in the advent boxes, but in exclusive colorways or with exclusive charms. So some of the things that you can expect will be an original chain row counter, a set of stitch markers suitable for knitting and crochet, a large slider storage tin, 1 skein of luxury fiber yarn, a pattern by an independent designer, and then one other thing is, I guess, so those are like the things that you can expect. And then beyond that, they say to expect about 14 new, never before seen goodies. And some of those things may never be seen in the shop again. Those are always my favorite things that I'm always looking forward to. It's like, ooh, like what new and exciting things will there be? Like last year they had the gauge ruler was in there, the sock blockers were in there, all of those like new things, which was really cool. And yeah, so there is also a coupon code if you're interested in saving $25, which you should be interested in saving $25. You can click the link in the description box down below and also use the code ADVENT25 to save $25 off your advent box. That was announcement number 2. Last but not least, announcement number 3 If you have been interested and intrigued by me talking about the Scotland knitting tour and you're like, I want to go on one, Rachel from Rachel is Knitting, who puts together and hosts the tours, is booking her 2026 tours currently, and she still has room on her Ireland tour, Knit the Wild Atlantic Way through Ireland and Northern Ireland. So the link for that will also be in the description box down below. You can look at the itinerary, all of the info. The pricing is at the very bottom of that page. That itinerary looks like so much fun. There's so many different workshops. You get to go to Giant's Causeway. I was really interested in that trip, but I am not going on that trip. But you should go on that trip and meet some new knitting friends and make some memories to last a lifetime. So I think that's all I have for you guys today. I have been yapping over here for a very long time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!